Welcome to Antwerp Central Station. Took us around an hour to get here from where? So where were we just at? Ghent? Oh, Brussels, yeah. It took us an hour to get here from Brussels. Ready for a great day. It's around 10 a.m. All that we really have planned, that I know of, that I at least planned, is the axe throwing. There's a hotel. And actually Antwerp is known for their diamonds, and check all these diamond stores out.
Behind me is a church that is called the Cathedral of Our Lady, and it is a Gothic style architecture building, which is really, really beautiful and one of my favorites. We are at the Atlas Museum. We cannot go in there. We thought it was free. I guess it's only free on Wednesdays. Kind of sucks. But we have our free tour, which is through Legends again.
You can tell how she's standing because she really needs to pee clearly.
Yeah, I'm glad no one heard that. So we have our Legends free tour. It's gonna start at 1:30 and at probably like 3 o'clock. And we'll check this out. It's gonna be $8 per person because it's an age discount. Thought it was free. Thank you. So continue on. Wow. These are supposedly the best fries in all of Belgium, so we're very excited to try it. We got a mix of sauces. We got a truffle and then a classic sauce on top, and then we got, I believe, a basil sauce and a French sauce. We couldn't get I think it's called like the Andrea Louise sauce, which is like the most popular sauce. It was all out, which completely makes sense, but we still got a lot of mix of sauces that we're excited to try. And we're just gonna eat this and go on our way to our walking tour at 1:30.
So above me here is what is known as a Madonna. And these are just different figures that are on some corners of houses. There's currently 179 in Antwerp, but there were over 500. But after World War II and all the destruction of the city due to bombing and just all the fires and stuff, there's only 179, and each one is different. And they are holy figures that are used on each, again, like corner of different houses and like buildings to sway away the giant who is currently sleeping under, I forget which building, but his name is Druan Antigoon, and there's a legend between him and Bravo where Basically, this giant would be, I think, 70 centimeters, 40 centimeters tall or something, but it would grow to 40 meters tall whenever there was a drunk man in the street, and he just didn't like drunk people at all, so he would scare them and just try to make people not drink as much. But the problem was that he was so tall that he would see into everybody's windows, and all the girls would be changing and stuff like that. So they put these Madonnas to scare him away, as he was a devil. So now apparently he's sleeping under one of the buildings that we just saw. But I thought that was really cool, because you would just look at this building and like, oh, there's a holy figure, and have no idea. But that's definitely a super unique story. And now we will head over to the castle.
The yellow bottle that you just saw is called Elixir de Narvis. It has 37 herbs in there, and back in the medieval times was given to horses when they were sick, which would make them feel better. So, cool fact from our tour.
This building is known as Velhuis, which is actually a butcher's guild. Now, guilds were things where when you were old enough to retire, a guild is a place where you could live the remaining years of your life under the compensation and being taken care of by your guild. And guilds were specific to trades. So the carpenters had their own guild. This is, again, the Butcher's Guild. And the Butcher's Guild was actually the second most rich guild that there was, besides the people who built the houses. So in a Butcher's Guild, you weren't really allowed to marry anyone outside of the butcher's family, because they want to keep all the money in the same family. But this is a very historic building. There's currently a lot of netting around it because a lot of the bricks have been falling off. So they're going to be doing renovations. And it's going to be closed for the next 6 years, but it will be done soon. But after this building was, again, used for a guild, it was built in the 1250, and in the 19th century, the French Revolution abolished guilds. So this building was removed from, keeping the money into the butchers' families, and it was put into now a museum, but before it was a well-known factory or a painter's studio, and I believe even a winery. So a lot of history in this building. There are some other guilds around town, but this is just the most grand one that we can see. Actually, we forgot, but when talking about the giant earlier, he's actually sleeping under this building. So they said, be really quiet, but there's also a major road right there, so he's probably gonna wake up at any second. But another cool fact is below me, there's about a 15-foot drop, and that's where the original town sat. So I think it was exactly 10 feet, or now we're 10 feet above sea level, but there's a ton of canals that are now sewers in the city. But also that is a tour. It's crazy. He said that it's a 2-hour walking tour, and you have to put on a full sanitizing bodysuit. And I don't know if I really want to jump in the sewers.
There's also rats and spiders.
Yeah, rats and spiders in there too. But he can never come out because of all the guilds protecting him from coming out. That's why they don't want to destroy any of the buildings, stuff like that. Just an old legend. But anyway, yeah, the city was built 10 feet below where it currently is now, and then they started to build up early on. And he was giving an example of Venice might be underwater within like 20 years, but Antwerp was smart enough to predict, I guess, water rising. So they started building up from their original level very, very early on. Behind me is the Steen Castle, but what he told us is the castle is just the stone castle. That's just the name, but that is right there, which we'll be going to next. It is a free entry, so you know we're there. But if you look down, this is the original wall that separated the city from the water. So to the left of this line would have been all water, and then to the right would have been the protective area of inside the castle grounds. This is the original wall of, you know, the protective layer around the castle. And it's just definitely really cool to know that like all the European cities, like I think he said every single one, I mean, probably not every single European city, but the major European cities were all kind of fortified. So they all had their main castle and then the castle wall around it. And then as those cities grew larger and, you know, the poor people outside of the city demanded rights or whatever politics were happening, the walls were just slowly demolished and the cities just kept expanding. But here, it seemed that there was a problem of obviously people being here, but that outside of the castle walls, it was all water, so they didn't have any choice. So that's when they needed to fill the canals and then create a sewer system under it, because with all the canals and water here in Antwerp, cholera, known as like the Black Plague, was spreading rampantly throughout the city. So that's why it was really important to just fill in all the water, create a sewage system, and spread the city out so it wasn't so congested. Definitely we're learning a lot. Also, Antwerp was 100,000 people strong, and it was the most central and important of all trading places in the world at that time. And at that time, Paris was only 45,000 people. London was only 45,000 people. So Antwerp was extremely significant. But Antwerp's government, the Catholics here were so dominant, and that was all the entrepreneurs here, that the government slowly, they said all the Catholics need to be out within 4 years. So within a 4-year period, that number of 100,000 people, the greatest in the world, this place was known everywhere, that went down to 40,000 people. So 60,000 people left, being the Catholics, and they left, but those were the business owners and people of riches. So those people later went to Amsterdam and built up what Amsterdam is today. So all the beautiful homes and the riches you see in Amsterdam actually came from Antwerp. So that is something that I find super interesting, and that, you know, religion can be such a defining factor in a city's history. And to put a name to what I'm talking about, this would be called the Fall of Antwerp. And just a great fact.
As we were walking up to get to the castle, there is looks like a wreath with ribbon underneath. There is a ceremony, I'm unsure of the date, but it's like a newlywed couple will come under here. They'll all take their own time and they will pray for good fertility for their marriage.
The history about this castle as we know it is that it was built after the city just originated. It was basically just like, you know, a river, some grass, and then a lot of wooden shack houses. So then when the Vikings came over and absolutely burned down everything and destroyed everything, they decided to invest a lot into a stone castle to provide some protection over the city of Antwerp, as they had to completely restart the whole city. So this castle would be the area that could protect against the Vikings. And you can see it's a very good strategic area with all this water in front of me.
As you can see, the one key difference in Antwerp is that there is not a single bridge. And in the 1850s, the locals decided that they shouldn't have any bridges here because it could potentially hinder any shipping traffic. So I think that's pretty interesting because all the cities that we've been to all have bridges, like the London Bridge, for instance. But yeah, there's really no way to get across the other city. I believe that they did build one for pedestrians and bicycles, cyclists, but other than that, there is no bridge that a car can drive over, which is pretty interesting for that fact. At the Steen Castle, you can see the many different centuries that it took to fully complete this building, starting off with the darker stone. It looks like it was mixed with some brick and then maybe patched up with some concrete or stone, not really sure. And it's a blackish color. And then as you get farther up to the completion of it, you can see a lighter white sandstone that was used to fully finish it in the 1950s. I'm not sure if they're still going to be doing work on this castle, but as far as right now, this is a fully complete castle which people can go in and visit for free. There's a nice panoramic view at the 5th floor, I believe, and crazy nice views. I mean, it's not like the highest views you can probably get in here, but it's still a very beautiful view to see the tops of all of the old medieval buildings. Really amazing type of structures that we could see from the top. And yeah, you can definitely just see the ombre. Look for the white sandstone to the darker stone, brick, concrete mix that's at the bottom. We are at Woodcutter, Antwerp, and we just got our first tutorial on how to throw an axe. Jackson was trying to throw one, and I'm glad we got the tutorial because that could have been deadly. But we have 7 rounds in our first game. I think it's called like a beginner's game or something like that. We have 7 rounds, and in the beginning we have 3 trial throws that we make, and the highest one out of the 3 is the one that we count. And yeah, we have 7 rounds of that, and then probably after that, so maybe after our like 4th throw, hopefully 3 or 4th throw of like the 3 rounds, after that, you only throw it 1 time, and then that's the point that you get. So if Jackson will show you, the red dot is 6 points, so it goes 6, 4, 3, 2, and then 1 is if you hit it outside the 2 line. It's pretty much just 0 if it just hits and falls down. Then the 2 blue dots are called the kill shot, which is awarded 8 points, and the only way to count that is if you see the blue on each side of the axe. If you do hit near it, it doesn't even count at all because you need to see the blue on each side. And if you do get it on the line, so in between the 3 and the 2, you count the higher one being the 3.
I got 2 phones, 1 for the plug and 1 for the low.
I got 2 phones, 1 for the plug and 1 for the load. I got 2 phones, 1 for the and 1 for the dough. Think I need 2 more. Lamp popping, I'm ring, ring, ring.
Yeah.
You know we're not going to McDonald's, but I still ordered that 3-piece nugget. Oh no. You know I gotta go underhand because I'm that guy.
Oh!
That's Sports Center, bro. That's Sports Center.
We just finished our axe throwing session, which was honestly like the most fun thing that we ever did in like ever, honestly. I mean, that's like way more fun, and it was a different experience. I mean, as a girl, you wouldn't think that axe throwing would be for you, but if you get some practice sessions, I mean, our employee was so amazing with teaching us and gave Jackson a lot of tips, gave me a lot of tips, which Jackson told me about. And we just overall ended up having such an amazing time. And the beginning of the game, which was just kind of like practicing throwing. So you had, again, the 3 tries, whatever got the highest number of points, that's what you would count it as. I got 35. Jackson got, I believe, maybe 19 points. So really fun first game. Then our second game was blackjack, which we had to get 24 points. Instead of 21, it's 24 points. And you have to kind of keep track, because if you go over, you lose. Go under, you're going to lose, obviously. So I got 24. I don't know what Jackson got. I think he ended up getting like maybe 20 or something. But at least I got both games. And then Jackson was way better when it came to the trick shots, like the underhand and the double-bladed one. He went crazy. The shovel, actually, he went so much better on the shovel than I did. And he was just better at the trick shots, and I guess I was better at just throwing the normal axe and getting the points ranked up for myself. But yeah, he did an amazing job with the trick shots. I wasn't really good at the trick shots, and overall such an amazing time. I feel like the employee was amazing. Definitely feel like he gave us extra time. We were only supposed to have an hour. We came in at about maybe like 4:30. We're out of here at 6 o'clock-ish. So definitely gave us a lot of time. Maybe it's because he had to coach us on how to throw it, trick shots, and just give us extra time to really get to know how to throw an axe at the target. But yeah, we had a lot of extra time, which was really fun, and I'm really glad we had a lot of extra time. Totally recommend this, even if you're a girl. It's not even like that manly. It's really fun, and a lot of the stuff that you do, you don't have to throw it as hard as you want to. So totally would recommend this place over bowling. It doesn't smell gross. It's not gross balls. It's just like a nice, fun way to get your arms all worked up, especially after walking. It's nice to also kind of work out your arms and stretch your arms. So highly recommend this place. We're going to be doing this also in like Hamburg, because it has a bigger location. So what?
In Berlin.
Oh, in Berlin, bigger location, and going to be a lot more fun. I think it's a lot bigger, and $25 per person. And then we also got 3 drinks, which ended up being $15. So it wasn't that expensive. I mean, the drinks per drink was $5, which is pretty much what we've been paying this whole time. So again, really cool place, really sick location, and everybody there is so helpful and so knowledgeable, and we really got to know everything with just 5 seconds of them teaching us. So highly recommend this place.
One thing I will say about some of these touristy foods that we have eaten so far, the only life-changing thing that we have eaten is probably the Belgian waffles and the French different pastries and cakes, like the flan vanilla, for example. But the baguettes, the fries, the chocolate, the beer, it's such a minimal difference. And we've looked up the best places and stuff. I mean, we probably could have eaten more. We probably could have went to other places. But overall, I feel like we've eaten a lot of the crap we're supposed to eat. And it's such a minimal difference from what you've probably already eaten in the United States or wherever you're from. So don't get too caught up in like, oh my God, I need to go here to eat this. It's gonna be amazing. The Belgian waffles were completely different than any other waffle I've ever had. Amazing. The fries, such a minimal difference, but like really good. The fries we ate today, super, crispy. But like the thing is that they're pushing so much is like, oh, fries with this sauce. So at that point, you're just like dunking the fries in a specific sauce, and it's just the sauce that you like, So yeah, just don't get too caught up in it. Just coming to a place just to try the food. I'm sure in Italy, hopefully that will be life-changing as well. But Belgium, food-wise, maybe a 7 or 8 on the actual quality versus like the height. But yeah, we probably could have eaten more chocolate and stuff, but like, you know.
We ended up picking our second batch of the Belgian fries at Lizzie's, and each of the fries, or the fry itself is $3.50, and then each of the sauces are 50 cents. And if you pay for the house sauce, which sounded really good, it was I believe a tartar sauce that the house make, and that's $1. But we just wanted to stick to our basic sauces, so we got the tartar sauce that wasn't homemade, and then we also picked up that I believe it's the Andrew Louise sauce that I really, really wanted to try because it's the most popular one. And super excited to try these. They hook it up. It looks amazing. Everybody here is so nice. And we didn't get in the classic cone because we wanted to see if we could get like a little bit extra, which we honestly did end up getting a little bit extra. But yes, super excited to try this. The total amount for this ended up being $4.50. So still a better price than the one that we got in the beginning of the day. Kind of forgot the name of the place. It was a little bit more bougie, and those sauces you hand pumped yourself, and there wasn't as many options at that other place compared to here, which has about like 15 different sauces you can pick from. So again, we just stick to kind of the basic ones. People here usually just stick to the fries and mayonnaise, but now that there's more people coming and everybody wants to have a different taste, not always just a basic mayonnaise, we got 2 different sauces, and plus we already know what mayonnaise tastes like, so we just want to try it with good classic Belgian sauces that sounded amazing.
So, our review of Belgium as a country in only 4 cities that we went to. We can just start at each city, but overall, I guess we would give Belgium, you know, we have to be harsh, so I would say like 7.6, 7.8, something around that. But to give feedback to our reviews, we can start with Bruges, which I believe we gave an 8.7. Bruges is definitely, I can give you the ranking first. So for sure, Bruges number 1, and then Brussels, and then Ghent. Ghent and Brussels are kind of tied. It depends on what you want to see, whether it's like castle or more city. Ghent is more castle, smaller, and then Brussels is just huge. And as you get further outside of the city, it gets pretty sketchy. But also, yeah, we've learned from some locals that there are a lot of gangs in Belgium. It can get a little dangerous outside the main cities. There's definitely a bigger, like, Middle Eastern presence here. Not relating that to any gangs, but that's just something that we've noticed overall. And so again, Bruges, we gave it an 8.6. Very, very small. A lot of chocolate shops, which, you know, I guess can get a little bit annoying maybe, but at the end of the day, it smells so good. You smell chocolate, you're smelling waffles. The smell of the Belgian waffles coming out of these shops, you wouldn't even believe. It's probably the best smell you'll ever have. Amazing. But Bruges was just a really small place. They had a lot of, you know, again, chocolate shops. There was a little river. It was the most pretty, kind of like Red Riding Hood type fairy tale vibe. Super, super nice. Dogs everywhere, horses. It was like the perfect Christmas town that we saw. So it set really high expectations for Belgium as a whole. And we didn't really spend much time there, but then we headed to Ghent, where, you know, we were dropped off outside of the city center, and things were a little sketchy, but we did really like what we saw as far as the medieval architecture there. We really wanted to go into the main castle, but it ended up being closed by the time we get there. But if you ever go to Ghent, definitely go to the main castle. Ghent was probably maybe an 8.2 or something around that. Very, very small, walkable in probably an hour. Yeah, you could definitely tell that there was an old castle district there, and the whole city was kind of inside this one castle village area. Super cool, loved all the water, but some of the locals were, you know, kind of screwing it up for us, like all the homeless people, or, you know, just people like blasting rap music when we were used to in Bruges, like live music on the streets and horses, you know. So it was just a different vibe, much more of a city. But Ghent was cool, and then Brussels did not have a good experience at night, but overall the city did make up for itself the next day. Brussels was really big, had a lot to see, had a huge grand place, super nice. Everything was gold. We did our walking tour. We learned a ton, and I guess we have a good overall impression of Brussels now, but that night we had was so bad that like I didn't think it would be able to recover. But yeah, Brussels was cool. Probably there's no real need to go back, but I mean, it was cool. It gives you the European vibes. There was a ton of construction. It was basically just like a regular city. There wasn't really that much to see. And here in Antwerp, this would probably be the bottom. There is really like nothing to do, although we had a great walking tour, learned a lot of fascinating history, went into the castle, did our axe throwing experience, ate really good fries. We had a great experience here, but it still is not gonna, you know, if we do an excursion in one place and we really like this one thing, it can't sway the overall mood of the place. So yeah, I guess going down the line, Bruges would be like an 8.7, Ghent would be like 8.2, Brussels maybe a 7.9, 8.1, and then here in Antwerp maybe like a 7.6, 7.5. So yeah, I would say Brussels and Ghent are really close to each other, but Bruges was definitely the best and Antwerp was definitely the worst. Just again, as far as stuff to do. But this is a really long review. Hopefully I went a little in depth on every single place. I can hand it over to Sophia real quick to give maybe a sentence about her thoughts about each place, because I know I already went too long. So here she is.
All right, so I guess my review is pretty much the same as Jackson's, but overall, if I was to recommend any place that you need to stop at, it would for sure 100% be Bruges. I loved everything about it. It smelled so amazing. It smelled like nothing that I would ever imagine. I mean, you go outside and it smells amazing. It smells like chocolate. It smells like the waffles. And then you go inside all these chocolate stores and it still smells so amazing. There's so much chocolate to pick from. If you are a chocolate enthusiast, which I wouldn't really say like I am, I mostly just like dark chocolate. Jackson mostly just likes white chocolate. But again, overall, if you're a chocolate enthusiast, that is the place for you to go. There is so much chocolate. There's so much homemade chocolate. Everything there is homemade, besides maybe a couple stores that maybe they buy from a factory. But in the end of the day, it's like the factory's probably in Brussels or something. I mean, it's really great chocolate. Everything tasted amazing. My favorite thing that I got there was the chocolate truffles. They melted in my mouth. The best thing I've ever had. I don't usually like eating chocolate all that much because it just really sits in my stomach, but the chocolate there was amazing. I mean, again, I don't really eat chocolate all that much, so my opinion is kind of like, you know, iffy, but overall, probably the best chocolate I've ever had and probably the best chocolate I will ever have, besides when we go to Switzerland and maybe try some chocolate out there. But overall, 100% would just mostly just suggest to go to Bruges. Again, completely agree with what Jackson says, and Antwerp is definitely on the bottom of our list. It's not a huge touristy town, which we really like, but again, there's nothing much to do here besides maybe shop for clothing or get some food like French fries and beer. But yeah, there's nothing really much out to do here, and there's supposed to be some colleges, but there's really no crazy college scene with anywhere that we've pretty much been to. So this is a good and a bad thing. That's really up to you. But overall, only would probably suggest to go to Bruges.